Okay, good evening. I'm calling to order regular city council meeting of the city of Hayden. It's Tuesday, October 14th, 5:01 PM. May we get a roll call of council members, please?
Council President Roeder?
Yes.
Councilmember White?
Yes.
Councilmember DePriest?
Yep.
Councilmember Schaefer?
Here. Okay, we have a quorum. Would you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, tonight I have no additions or corrections, but I do have two small administrative things. The first thing I would like to do is acknowledge a guest tonight. We have Mr. Master Andrew Griswold, who is joining us tonight. He's working on his first class scouting requirement, and as such, he is observing our meeting tonight. The second thing I'd like to announce is that our city staff and mayor completed the requirements for Blue Cross of Idaho's Foundation for Health requirements. We did this to enhance our knowledge about how health and the public sector can work together. And in doing so, have earned the city a $20,000 grant or monies to be spent toward health. So there's some strings attached, but they're good strings. And I'm planning for council's awareness. I'm going to meet with staff next week and solicit their ideas for spending it and for bringing a project to council for their approval. So with that in mind, we'll move on to the consent calendar. All items on consent are action items, and they consist of approving the September 23rd, 2025 city council meeting minutes, approving the September 30th, 2025 special city council meeting minutes, ratification of the September 2025 payroll and bills for payment. Any questions about consent calendar items? Does anybody like to make a motion?
I'd like to make that motion that we approve the consent calendar 1A through 1D.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on the motion being made? May we get a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember DePriest?
Yes.
Councilmember Schaefer?
Yes.
Councilmember White?
Yes.
Council President Roeder?
Yes.
Okay, we're going to move on to visitor public comment. It appears that we do have a public comment tonight from Mr. Ray Drexler regarding transparency.
Okay.
Which I thought only had 4 letters in it.
Oh. Thanks. Anyway, my name is Ray Drexler. I'm a resident of Hayden, Idaho. And I just want to touch on it briefly. It's actually a topic that comes up numerous times and is part of our election for this year. And I know that Councilmember DePriest touched on it actually probably now a couple months ago, at which time I wanted to comment on it as well. And being summer and a lot of personal things happening, I missed quite a few of the meetings, but nevertheless I wanted to talk about it. First of all, I appreciate Councilmember Ed DePriest for having some of the extra meetings that he planned at the Hayden Library and invited the community to ask questions. And he was kind enough to, even if he wouldn't feel comfortable with an answer, he would do the research. And he's done quite a bit of that research. I also appreciate him having the town hall here at the park. And I think it's very commendable from all of our council members that would meet with our public and discuss some of the issues at hand. Now, most of you guys know that I represent an HOA and a half for the last 4 years, and I'm very active in it, as staff and council members know. And the sad thing to me has always been the commitment of our community actually get involved with what's happening in our beautiful town. I mean, it shows right here, we've got almost 18,000, a population of almost 18,000. And then here we have a very low percentage of people that actually come to the meetings. To me, it's sad because we want to have a community that everybody not only enjoys, but is part of keeping it the way it is. And have to admit that our yearly HOA meetings are about the same, except, to be honest with you, our meeting, which was this month, we had a higher percentage of participants than we have here right now for the council meeting. And to me, that part is sad. Now, what we do is we send numerous emails out now for the last couple of years, updating everybody and keeping them apprised. But again, participation is very difficult. And the way I see it is that most of us, me actually excluded, don't want to get involved. We basically vote our council members in based on what we believe that they represent. But most of the people, as you all know, they leave it at that. They figured, okay, the council's going to represent us. That's all we got to do. Sadly enough, that's not really the case. And the same with our HOA. Now, going back to the topic that I put down on the pamphlet, transparency. You guys are absolutely correct. The information's out there. You're not hiding anything. And it's a good start. And anybody can join us here at the council and bring up any of the concerns, and you guys would address them. Great. They could get online, find out anything that they would like more information on. Great. But as we all know, based on what shows up here in our HOA meetings, it's not something that the public does. What I want to also mention to you is that even though the transparency is there, if anybody would take the effort to actually research it, I mean, that's great. But what I think needs to happen is a couple steps further. Now, what I would suggest, one of the things that I mentioned, to our mayor before, when developments happen, when there's developments within a certain distance from HOAs, bring the board members on board and let them bring some of the information that's out there to their attention by contacting them. It's a good way to increase, the transparency that everybody actually wants, even though they don't take that extra step. I came up with another one, and that would be, we get our sewer bill through the city. If there is a point of interest that actually affects our members, the people who live in our town, it would be really great to maybe do a little bit of a summary and attach it to that bill, let them know what's going on. Again, it's sad to see that not more people are interested in keeping our community the way it is right now, and not address or be supportive to you guys, especially like we're talking about, maintenance for our roads, traffic, population, all those things. if we give them a little bit extra boost and, give them a summary of what's going on, say, you can look up the information and I'm sure you will see an increase. Sadly enough, it's not going to be great, as we all know, but it's just our humanity that we live in, that we are all part of. And, that's my input here. I have some other topics, but I know I only got 3 minutes, so this is my main point, and I'm hoping that you guys take that in consideration and that we have a closer knit community, which we tried to do when, even in our own community, we have now committed to a yearly get-together for a meet and greet where we can share these things. And I'm very thankful for our sheriff department that takes part of that, or fire department that took interest in it. And our council members came by. It is a very great community get-together, and I'm hoping that this will help, this information that I'm providing here will help generate a little bit more thought into not only being transparency if you want to research it, but also transparency of getting the information out to the community.
Thanks, Ray.
Thanks.
All right, our next item is a public hearing, and the public will be able to provide testimony. And the agenda item is updates to Table 7, which is the development impact fees of fee schedule.
Okay. All right, and just for clarity's sake, it's, the changes that are up for discussion tonight are on Table 7 and Table 3, which is a minor error that we'll correct. So I'll cover that in a moment. You'll notice this is the same presentation I gave council before, but I did change it for the specifics relative to these tables that are affected as part of the public hearing tonight. Just a reminder of why we're here. Federal code requires a public hearing when there are either new fees or increases that are in excess of 5%. The public hearing is meant for the purpose of letting the public comment regarding any proposed fees or increases beyond the statutory limits of 5%. And I didn't change the summary, but staff was presented a draft increase. It should be September 9th, so I failed to update this slide from the last meeting. But I'll cover that in the summary here. We'll correct for those. So the summary of fees presented to council today that require the hearing are under our Table 7 development impact fees. And there are adjustments that were brought forward again at that 9 meeting where the development impact fee committee reviewed and made recommendation, and council received that recommendation on 9/23 and then was published for a hearing tonight to consider those fees. And again, that modifies Table 7. So what are the fees? This is what was noticed in the public, in the paper. You'll see that those fees increases are right at the 5% requirement. So anytime we're right on that threshold, staff, in the interest of the public, brings forward it in the form of a public hearing. So those increases, again, relative to the recommendations by the Development Impact Fee Committee, you'll see it was noticed on September 30th and October 7th. Under Table 3, this was just modifies a change that was made in error and corrects for that. We published the fee at $45, but was supposed to be $35, and we didn't catch that until after the recommendations were made forward and the resolution adopted. So this is a correction in the downward reflected of what the events or the Recreation Department had made forward to staff or to myself. So that was my error. How do we authorize or make the the fees forward, we bring them forward in the form of a resolution. And in order to do that, we would make those recommendations to you, and that is provided to you later on in the agenda. So after the public hearing, those would be approved on, through that adoption of resolution. We didn't make the recommendation that they'd be effective on any certain date, so you could make that effective tonight, and we would impose those, or we could make them effective by the beginning of the month. That was an error. I didn't follow up with the staff on my end to figure out when we wanted to recommend them forward, but essentially, if you adopt it tonight without stating when they become effective, it would become effective immediately, or by tomorrow. So what is staff's recommendation? In order to assist the process, we do recommend approval of the resolution adopting and amending tables 3 and 7 as presented and published by the city. And now I would hand it back over to the mayor to conduct the public hearing and go from there.
Thank you, Lisa. Okay, at this point, if there's anyone in the audience that wishes to provide comment on our fee increase, this would be the time to do it. Okay, I'm going to show for the record that we have no one that wants to testify, so I'll close the public hearing, and I believe the next step is the council deliberation. No?
At this point, the meeting's closed, and then we'll take up the action, which would be to consider the resolution later on the agenda.
That's true. We're splitting it. Thank you for that.
And just for
That's what I
clarification,
get for following scripts.
impact fees are effective 30 days after adoption. So if you adopt them tonight, they're effective 30 days from now, without a different effective date in the motion.
All right. So I guess that closes the public hearing, and we'll move on to our unfinished business. The first item is an action item. It's the Kootenai County Area of Impact Draft Ordinance. Just so council's aware, the county is requesting our ordinance, or their ordinance be endorsed by the city. So it's not, we're not drafting a Hayden ordinance. It's more, we're giving the county our acknowledgement of their ordinance. Unless staff wants to be a little more specific. I know it sounds a little vague.
Ultimately, you will adopt an ordinance. What they have done is provided us with the draft or a draft of an ordinance that we can put before you now that they'd like to know you're okay with before they have their public hearing. And then after they have their public hearing and they accept the area of impact or send it back for change, we will adopt an ordinance once that process is complete.
Right. So unless there's questions, there is a suggested motion in the memo associated with this action item.
I think you have a question.
I was just wondering, is it possible to put this map up on the screen for the audience to see what we're doing?
It's this, is it the same map
It's
we
the
had?
same map
We
we
had up there
adopted.
before?
I didn't
I
prepare
don't
to
think
do
it's
that.
prepared to be up there tonight.
Can the PDF be open?
Oh, I guess I could pull up that packet.
I guess the question to council is, what's the value of putting up the map tonight? It's the map we've shown before.
We want to see it.
You want to see it again?
Yep.
Okay, we could do that then.
I don't know if you have a mechanism, that's
I
hard
have
for
to
me
go.
to say.
Can we rearrange and I'll run up and it'll take me a minute to get it in a location that we can look
Open
at
it
it.
here.
Okay. All right, I guess we'll suspend this item
Thank you.
until later in the meeting. We'll move on to new business. Our first action item is to consider approval of the updated kinds and levels chart. The budget has already been approved. This is an administrative approval, although Sean is here if staff, I'm sorry, if council has any questions. If there are no questions, we can go into a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve the new kinds and levels chart
Okay?
as submitted for council's review and approval.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on the motion being made? Can we get a roll call vote, please?
Council President Roder?
Yes.
Councilmember White?
Yes.
Councilmember DePreez?
Yep.
Councilmember Schaefer?
Yes.
Our next item is to consider Architects West contract for master planning effort for McIntyre Park for council and for the public. We are considering upgrading McIntyre Park. We have some land to the east of the park as it is that could potentially be developed into a larger, nicer park. Our McIntyre Park is, I guess to me, it's the gem in our crown. It's where we have Hayden Days. It's where we have our festival with the law enforcement. It's where we do a lot of our things, and to modernize and increase the size of our park with the public's input, the best way to do that, of course, is to hire someone, as we did with Hayden Canyon, to do a master planning effort. So that's why we're here. And council has any questions? Good time to ask. Unless someone wants to make a motion.
I don't know if I have questions, more like observations to make on this thing. So I went back just to kind of summarize and review what the goals and objectives are of the state statute on URAs, and the purpose being to decide whether or not this falls in line with what is the goal of a URA. And unless council is willing to convince me otherwise, I don't see how this fits into that. But furthermore, having read through this, I found the written summary of the plan to be weak in specifics as to what exactly is going to be done. And it's also asking the city to pay for this, and it would be my opinion that HURA should be paying for this and not the city.
I mean, we could certainly go back and ask her to fund it in arrears or seek a reimbursement. That's an option. Go ahead, Ed.
Yeah, are we talking about just the current McIntyre Park in the area to the east where the shop is?
Yes.
And are we including the baseball field?
Correct.
And so those are properties that the city currently owns, not her. Am I mistaken somewhere?
Correct.
Her owns the owl and stuff like that. We're just talking about already city-owned property. The park, the shed, the big building back there.
Well, it brings up a good question then. I mean, where does the, what is the right word I'm trying to find? Where is HER's responsibility begin and end versus the city's? We're talking about, I read this and it doesn't even tell me exactly what the goal of this park improvement is.
Well, this isn't a park improvement. This is a planning effort.
A planning effort, fine, but it should have some kind of specific stated goal, should it not?
It has a deliverable. The deliverable would be a plan, a master
Okay, a
plan.
plan that covers what?
The interests of the community on what they want McIntyre Park to be.
But again, the whole starting off point was land that formerly was occupied by the Public Works Department is now open for redevelopment. Is the plan just to develop that portion of the park or the land, or is it the entire park?
Just to back up, I think I guess to add a little bit more clarity on the purpose here. It is the city's park that we have in the past done multiple deep dives into what could be. None of those deep dives included community input and community engagement about what their desires might be around what McIntyre Park potentially could grow into.
Okay.
This planning effort is to consolidate not only interests from leadership, staff, but also the community to drive home a plan that can be adopted by council as a master plan for McIntyre Park, which then could align funds with to do things. So it's my opinion as your city administrator that it is a ship driven by the city, which would consult with our community, and they would all weigh in on what the future of that park would be, and that would be the plan that we're all working from. So if HERA is a contributor towards investments within the park, it's based on that adopted plan. If land and water conservation, which we applied for and have received grants for this park in the past, were a contributor towards a project within that plan, it's in concert with the adopted plan. Right now, we don't have a plan. We have ideas and deep dives that have been done by various councils in the past and by, in some cases, HURA, when they were contemplating how to allocate the remaining years of their dollars towards future projects. We need to be able to say, if we want to engage any one of those funders, this is the commonality, the plan that we're working from. And that's what this effort is intended to do, no differently than what we did with the Hayden Canyon Park.
So if I were to summarize in a couple sentences what you just said, what you're telling me, this is kind of like where we want to improve government way, therefore we are allowing this minor expansion of HURA in order that they can help us pay for it? And is that what we're doing here?
I think the fact that HURA has been brought into this decision-making point is like, it's an abstract concept because it's not HURA will do X. It is a plan that the city puts forward that could align itself with future funds or with future opportunities, be it grants, contributors, funders. HURA may be one of them, I don't know. But we're all working towards the same goal, which is to improve the park in this adopted way by the city. And it's us driving that plan forward. So we're not saying, well, we plan for the removal of the buildings where the former public works facility was, and we don't really have a plan for what we're going to do, right? We now have an adopted plan that says we're going to do X, and we're working towards finding, the opportunities to fund that, those projects.
I'll get you, Ed. Does that answer your question, Tom?
Kind of, I want to hear from the rest of council at this point.
Ed?
Okay, so I'll try and summarize what I think I'm understanding. Getting back to what I first said. Within this proposed plan, is any of it going to cover the parking lot or the Owl Cafe or any of that area up there? Or is it going to only cover already city-owned land, the park, the shed, and the ball field?
It would also include the council, the city hall as well, in the park.
City Hall?
Yes.
But would it include any currently HURA-owned property?
It's not the intention. The
Okay.
intention is to focus primarily
So,
on city hall and
As
back.
I understand it, let's hypothetically say we approve this plan or this project for somebody to come in and design a plan as we did with Hayden Canyon. And they say, here it is, and it comes before, we have input, and we have council and everything. At the point in time where something might be approved, then if HURA even wanted to participate, is when they may come into the picture.
I think it would go the other way. The city would be asking them to be a partner with us if we wanted to.
If we'd ask them if, but we're not dealing with any of their land. We're not asking them to be a part of the plan. We're not, I mean, this issue with HURA, I get it why there's so much consternation, is that?
Well, I think the problem is that HURA went through some exploratory planning.
Right.
Back when they were working on trying to plan out the rest of their potential revenue through the end of their revenue allocation area or their term. And in doing so, they had to try to anticipate what they could be asked for by the city in participatory ways. And so they went through that exploratory potential, like what would that be and what could be some costs associated with that. I'll give you a good example. One of the areas of strong interest from the city is to try to figure out ways to fix the honeysuckle parking configuration where we have backing movements from the park or from the ballpark into honeysuckle. We know we have a challenge there that creates a conflict point where the public safety is at risk, and especially with pedestrians walking down that portion of the road. We would then through this planning effort, decide what does that look like. If we were to adopt that plan, then we would work with potential grantor or funders towards implementing that.
And HURA being only one of those potentials.
Potentially. And another conversation that happened, and this is partly why HURA went through the exploratory process in order, if they were asked to participate, what would that amount potentially be, was the demolition and reconstruction of the public works facility. What would that look like? What are the concepts that could be explored that they potentially be asked for money? So they went through that for their own benefit, trying to anticipate what the future council may ask of them as the term of their area closes.
Or her could just get tired of being swiped at and say, we don't want to participate. We're going to go do something with our own property and whatever it is, and we're tired of getting smacked around, and we're not going to contribute to the improvement in the park. Go find your own money.
I mean.
Hypothetically.
But that's not what we saw when they brought forward.
I know that's not, they want to participate, they want to help, but I know, and I'm sure Matt might be able to also, they're getting tired of it. They're trying to help this community. They have a limited amount of time, and they're continually getting smacked around. I don't blame them for saying, fine, you don't want our money, we'll put it somewhere else.
And all this, I don't want to interrupt, but this is all good discussion, but the motion on the, for councils is to consider a contract for the city to plan an effort for a city-owned park. So if I could redirect our conversation off of HURA and onto the agenda item, I would appreciate it very much.
Okay, I just quickly respond. The only reason I brought up her is because it's mentioned
It is in the,
8 times in
The
this
vendors.
document,
Yeah,
okay?
the
And
vendor
it
document.
confused me. After listening to Lisa, I understand this is really a city-initiated effort. Her is superfluous to it and not really part of it. And
I think
so
that
I
reason-
wasn't intentionally taking swipes.
I
I just
know.
wanted to clear up what we were really talking about here.
And really, we're building from that point where her handed off to us what they had done and said, what is it that you're going to ask of us? And so that the answer is, well, I think we need to design what that looks like. I think we need to drive that.
yeah. Anything from the starboard side? Sandy?
Thank you. I know that McIntyre Park, especially in that upper area where we have that building, that needs working on. We need to do something about that. But right now, I don't feel ready to move forward with this. And my reason is that this is all new news to us as a council. You can tell by our questions so far that we haven't had much input into this idea yet. And I believe that we need to have more of a plan that we are sending forward before we jump in and start this. Now, Lisa, you and I talked about this, and you were saying there's going to be like a steering committee set up or something like that. I would like to have more of our thoughts first before we give it to a steering committee, and just have it be more of our vision of what needs to go forward. So I would say let's just put this off a little bit and have some kind of a workshop where we can sit down and talk about it, and then come back with a proposal.
So just for clarity, you want the council to prioritize what the park looks like instead of the public?
No, I would say give the council just a little head start on it and then take it to the public. I mean, that whole steering committee, this whole process is taking it to the public. But, so, thank
Okay,
you.
Matt?
Thank you, Mayor. I sit on the HURA board, and we did engage 2 architects to take a look at basically the whole property that HURA owns, which was the Owl Cafe, and to the east, we own that residential property with some acreage, all the way down to Honeysuckle, basically looking at what our campus is like. And so there's been money spent, and there's been ideas tossed around with dollar amounts. And this is a really fluid, because part of it is obviously funding. Where's the money going to come to do these projects? What I see is that this is a combined effort by the city and by HURA trying to accomplish a project. Because HURA does have money to spend, but my priority is that, and I'm just giving you my thoughts, okay, HURA's money, I'd like to see spent first on roads, because that's a priority for me. However, there's a desire to move forward with this, a design for this park for the future. And I see that monies for this contract would be coming from park impact fees, monies that the city has collected from developers on each parcel to pay for parks. So my thought and is that since it is a combined effort and we will have to work together, my idea is let's split the cost of this between her and the city. And let her pay for half of this contract and we pay for half the contract, but it enables us to go forward with a future plan. Because we can't just sit back and not plan for the future. But the one thing, and this is just more thoughts, I do not like to spend money on design and consulting fees for the future because we don't know, we don't have everything's in place to build this for the money and everything. We don't do that. And that's not how this works. We have to put plans forward with the hopes of getting grants, using her money, using some city money. So since that is a combined effort that we'll see for this campus, because this is a campus, not just the park, that would be my suggestion is we split it with her. We take half of it from impact fees and then have her pay for the other half. That's my thought.
Okay, so I'm curious of council's thoughts. If her is drug into the master planning effort, is that going to complicate or change anyone's vote? Because what we don't want to do is put off good work over our disagreements over
Yeah.
the role her should or shouldn't play, especially as it applies to city-owned land.
Mr. Mayor,
Mm-hmm.
I would like to see this beginning effort as something from just the city and the city control it. But again, I don't think we're really ready to move forward on it right now because I think some of these plans are not clear. And also, I would like to know, I mean, if we had a workshop and talked about it, we could talk about what percentage or what kind of involvement other things would have, like grants or urban renewal. We could talk about that as well.
Response? Councilman White, I understand where you're coming from. Frankly, I don't have the skill set to do that kind of thing. And I think that council is going to have their full attention on other matters that are more important to the future of the city. If council wishes to move forward on this plan, I would prefer that I don't know what I could contribute at this point in a working group. What I rather see is some rough plans come back to us and then we can then use that as a basis for discussions. But I am really concerned about the fact that this is very unspecific as to what the original goals were. And that was the part that took me, I was impressed with, my key takeaway from this.
Have your questions been answered then tonight?
Well, we budgeted for it. That was already in the budget. Okay, so it's not like we're pulling money out of somewhere else in order to pay for it. It was anticipated by staff, but council was kept in the dark, basically, or not told what was
To
going
the
to happen.
degree at which we go through budget and we talk about line items, we talk about concepts, right? We
Yeah.
don't necessarily know if project A or B is going to happen, but as it related to the conversation that happened earlier in the year, as budgets were set in her agency, it became obvious to me that if we're not all working from the same plan, we could be potentially going through iterations of that plan as we invest dollars into this park. And I felt like we really all should have that same plan that we're working from, and the council should be leading in that.
And our staff did a great job with the effort that was put together similarly for Hayden Canyon. So, I mean, it was
Modeled after that.
Yeah, if we're modeling it after that, I mean, that was success. We're just up here to repeat success.
Yes. Lisa, would you mind, just for the sake of the audience, just going over, explaining a little bit of what the plan looks like and the public engagement and the process?
Sure.
Thank you.
And I would have to pull up the contract to be more specific as to what they built their budget off of. But right now as they go through the analysis and master planning effort, there is interest to try to create a committee or a steering committee of sorts to help be the litmus test of whether the consultant is on track with what the community is stating they want. And then through that process would then go out and have public engagement opportunities. And I'm looking at initially the task one, which talks about the master planning. Task two talks about the community stakeholder engagement. So those are going to be your areas of taking it out and receiving public feedback. And then ultimately, after this process is done, I mean, maybe there is an element where we bring the plan as a concept to council and show the process of where the community has provided feedback and information and get a, I guess, a feedback loop from council. And then ultimately, once they produce the final deliverable, which would be the master plan, and show that process that was done to get to that point, then council would adopt it as an addendum to the parks master plan. Similarly, like we've done with Hayden Canyon.
Yeah, do you have something else to
Yeah,
add?
well, that, she just said it. This looks very much like what happened with Hayden Canyon. And if you look at task number 2, the first one is analysis and master planning. Second task is community and stakeholder engagement. And this sounds very much like what would happen with Hayden Canyon. The engagement effort will be guided by a strategy that balances efficiency with meaningful input. The design team will connect with the community on up to 3 occasions using a range of methods such as open houses, public forums, community group meetings, stakeholder sessions, and building user group discussions, which, if I remember, sounds like we had the tables around with all the different options that people gave input and gave their designs and participated in. Where'd it go? To broaden participation, tools such as surveys, QR code-based data collection, and social media outreach will also be employed. Additional outreach opportunities may be incorporated at the city's direction to ensure the process remains inclusive, accessible, and responsive. The design team will attend council meetings and et cetera. But that right there, and I continue to hear this, and I agree that we need the community input. And this sounds very much like Hayden Canyon, which had a significant amount, several opportunities. There were 2 or 3 times where, like I said, we sat around tables with all the different tools and designs. And I believe that's kind of the goal of this particular action item, is to approve moving forward with the process that sounds to me almost exactly like happened with Hayden Canyon.
Are there any more comments or?
I just had one more comment. So the end result of this will be a plan that we could enact in parts, like fix that one area, fix the bandstand, fix this. It could be done incrementally as the money comes available.
Correct.
It's not going to be one huge expense.
Correct, but again, if we're looking at, let's say, a potential granting opportunity through insert funder X, who says they want to come in and improve access for seniors to parks, and we say we have a portion of our adopted plan, which includes community input and consensus around this plan, we could potentially align that project within that plan to that potential grantor or grantee that would participate in that. Many funders want to see that they're coming in and doing what the community desires, and the plan provides that. It's a guidance tool.
Okay. And how would the steering committee be chosen?
Well, I'd have to work with the consultant on that if we go that direction, and if they see that as the proper like who's going to make up that, if that's what they're going to do. But we certainly can circle back with council on that and give feedbacks.
Thank you.
Matt?
Thank you, Mayor. I'm supportive of going forward with this contract, and I want to retract what I said about splitting the costs. I would rather have HURA use their money on roads, because this is impact fees specifically collected for parks. So I support this idea, and I support the funding that is recommended here.
Would you like to make a motion?
Sure. Thank you. I would like to make the motion that we approve the Architects West contract for master planning effort for McIntyre Park.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on the motion? May we get a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Schaefer?
Yes.
Councilmember White?
Yes.
Councilmember DePreez?
Yep.
Council President Roder?
Yes.
All right, we are going to loop back
Mr. Mayor,
to,
can I just say one, I should have said this during deliberations, but it just is feedback. Next time this kind of thing comes up, maybe strike HERA from it because they really are not relevant to the goal of this. It confused me.
okay,
Thanks.
thanks, Tom.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to circle back and for the public's information, show our area of impact. Thank you, Donna.
Thank you so much.
I just got to figure out how to shrink it.
Control minus,
What?
control minus.
Or control scroll down.
That works too.
There we
yes.
go.
Escape.
There we go.
That
No,
was-
I'm sorry.
Okay,
So previously, you've always seen this area of impact over the top of a future land use map. And the county really didn't like all those colors in it. So they just asked me to strip out the colors and leave it with the area of impact. So the area of impact that the city is proposing to move forward with is this kind of offy green color. Post Falls is down here and Rathdrum is proposed over here. That's how we kind of broke up that shared tier piece. And they asked for us to include that in our map so they could see how that happened.
thank you, Donna. There is a recommended motion in the memo unless council has any more questions for Donna.
I just wanted to make some points here. So Donna, can those areas that are the green, orange, yellow area, those are possible future annexations, but the city cannot force annexation? Is that correct?
The city cannot force annexation. It's that the annexation statute changed at the same time the area of impact statute changed. That made city forced annexations a much more limited option, and that they are 95% now driven by the landowners that are in the area of impact and contiguous to city boundaries.
Okay. All right, I just wanted to make that clear for the sake of the public. Thank you.
And just for clarity, council's already approved sending this area of impact to the county. Tonight's decision point is just to say the county has provided a draft ordinance that they would like to know that if they accept the area of impact you've proposed, that you are okay with this draft ordinance being approved in the future.
And would like to make a motion.
I would. I move that we approve this draft ordinance language to Kootenai County.
Okay, there's a motion
Second.
and a second. Any discussion on the motion? May we get a roll call vote, please?
Council President Roder?
Yes.
Councilmember DePreez? Councilmember Schaefer?
Yes.
Councilmember White?
Yes.
Okay, now we're going to consider a resolution amending table 3 and 7 of the city's official fee schedule. So this is part 2 from the public hearing. So I believe the last steps are for council to deliberate the information and then potentially make a motion. Council doesn't have anything else, you can just make a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I can do that. I move to approve the resolution adopting an amended Table 7 and Table 3 and 7 of the official fee schedule.
Okay, we have a motion.
Second.
Second, any discussion? Get a roll call vote, please.
Councilmember DePreez?
Yep.
Council President Roder?
Yes.
Councilmember Schaefer?
Yes.
Councilmember White?
Yes.
Okay, our next item is, we are surplusing a 2008 Ford F-250.
Just to be clear, we surplused it.
What'd I say?
It's already been surplused.
It's been surplus, thank you.
It just didn't sell at auction.
Okay. So we're recommending acceptance from Port Lane Auto Sales to purchase vehicle number 75 for $2,000.
For the public's interest, the city already surplus this piece of equipment. We put it up for auction, did not receive a bid. The statute gives us authority to sell at or do with it what we deem reasonable. So the fact that we had an offer come in, it seems reasonable to proceed with considering that offer, since it's already been offered up for auction, did not receive a bid.
Anyone want to make a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve the sale of the surplus 2008 Ford F-250 to Shane Hunter.
It'd be Coeur d'Alene Auto Sales.
Coeur d'Alene Auto Sales.
Second.
Okay, motion and second, any discussion? May we get roll call vote, please?
Councilmember White,
Yes.
Council President Roder,
Yes.
Councilmember
Yep.
DePreez, Councilmember Schaefer.
Yes.
Our next item is our acceptance of our Veterans Day Distinguished Veteran. The Veterans Commission has recommended Ross Welburn, and we just need council to approve it or not. Thank you.
Yeah, I would move that the approval of the 2025 Distinguished Veteran per recommendation from the Veterans Commission.
Second.
Motion is second. Any discussion?
I just want to know if that PS is really true at the bottom. If there's just the description. Or was that just artistic embellishment?
Oh, can we roll call vote, please?
I don't have a second.
Oh, we don't have a second? I thought we did.
Yeah, you
we
did.
have a
I
second.
seconded
Thank
it.
you.
All right. Roll call vote, please.
Councilmember White,
Yes.
Councilmember Schaefer.
Yes.
Council President Roder.
Yes.
Councilmember DePreez.
Yes.
All right, that's all of our action items and unfinished business. We're gonna now have an updated, our upcoming transportation improvements presentation for our city engineer Dulcie.
So I'll just lead in and say I'm happy to report that this is one of our goals as the staff is to bring to council updates along the way of projects that we're doing. And I'm looking forward to having Dulcie present that to you and answer any questions you may have. Thank you, Dulcie.
Thanks. Alan's welcome to jump in at any time as he's well-versed in most of these projects. So kind of rough layout is we'll go through kind of what our capital improvement plan looks like, kind of these project statuses, the right-of-way acquisition process, an example of that, and then talk about some next steps. So the projects that, yes.
What's the timeline of the horizon on this?
That's exactly what I was, perfect question.
Okay.
Perfect timing, Tom.
Thanks.
This is kind of active, either design, we have design, we're in the process of designing, and we're trying to implement construction actively. We are actively in the process of implementing these projects. So we have Ramsey Road and Honeysuckle Avenue. We have, which is to install a roundabout, to improve multimodal travel. The 2025 construction estimate is a little over $3 million. The Hayden Avenue and Hutter Road is to install a controlled intersection. We're still evaluating whether it needs to be a signalized or a roundabout to best serve the community. And because that one's pretty early in the development of design, I'm hoping to have a better feel for you guys for construction estimates soon. The Ramsey Road and Hayden Avenue intersection is also to install a roundabout, approximately $3.4 million. The Hayden Avenue and Atlas Road, this is kind of a twofold project based off of right-of-way acquisition, potential funding sources, and need. So we've seen a lot of need for improvements at this intersection. Right now, we have kind of two-step. Temporary is to install a span wire to provide some intersection control while we're procuring funds and right-of-way to install a roundabout. The last project listed is Government Way in Miles. We have a design for a new signal and some added turn lanes at $1.5 million.
You said install a turn lane?
Yes.
Is that any direction or you're gonna go in? Go ahead. Sorry.
I'm not going to get into the details of it. I don't recall which legs we're going to add turn lanes on, but we're happy to go over that with you later.
No, sorry.
I
Go ahead.
would, if you could though, Dulcie, on going back to Hayden and Hutter,
Yep.
we will be bringing forward to the council for decision on this, with a recommendation for the signal or the roundabout. And when are we hoping to have that?
I'll get to that.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Everybody's jumping ahead.
You're doing such a good job.
I'm seeing at the bottom, number one footnote, estimates do not include design, legal, right-of-way, administrative. So that's just construction costs. That's just the
Correct.
materials, basically.
Correct. And some of these were taken from a couple years ago. Some of these were taken from more of a plan level, and some of these are like kind of final design. And so keep that in mind, but I did do my best to make it all apples to apples in 2025 dollars.
Right,
It's materials and labor.
right.
So I just rattled off several intersections to you. This is kind of a map as to kind of where we're at in the world.
Can we go back one slide real quick? Thank you.
All right, so kind of the project status, I went through a little bit of this, but Ramsey Road and Honeysuckle Avenue, design is complete. And we have 3 out of 4 of the corners acquired. So we're just waiting on one before we can kind of mobilize those funds into construction.
Which
Yes.
corner is not,
We are not discussing specific land values at this meeting.
I'm not talking values, but,
I think
Or
that you're
properties.
not to talk about right-of-way specific discussion at all.
all right, not even location. All right,
Generally around the intersection.
Some corner of the intersection.
yeah.
So pending right-of-way, we do hope to build that this upcoming construction season. Hayden Avenue and Hutter, we're about 10% of the way through design. We don't have any of the right-of-way acquired at that intersection. Ramsey Road and Hayden Avenue, design is complete. We do not have any right-of-way acquired for that intersection. Hayden Avenue and Atlas, the permanent one, we have design complete. We don't have any of the full corners for right-of-way. The temporary one, we're estimating that we should be complete by the end of this year.
Also, is the footprint larger for the permanent
Absolutely,
place, which is why we have the same intersection 2 and 0?
correct. Exactly. And then we're working through that now and we're hoping to get that installed kind of spring of 26. But all of this is a little bit dependent on right-of-way acquisition. Government Way and Miles, design's 95% complete and we have 1 corner acquired. So kind of walk you through the process of how we get to what we need, to what we have, right? We all do the planning process. We have the transportation master plan that identifies needs. And we say, yes, those are a need. And then we kind of dive into those needs with design. We all look at kind of what the specific items are that we need to design around. We get a footprint that everyone is happy with, that meets everyone's needs, or the greater public's needs, I should say. And final that design. We then kind of contact those properties that are impacted. We do an appraisal, we assess their needs, kind of discuss that, and we negotiate with those property owners to purchase that property. Something that has been experienced for staff is we get kind of stuck in this obtain appraisal and negotiations cycle where staff goes through, or our consultants, or, you know, our extended staff, if you will, spends time and money on these appraisals and these negotiations, and then has to redo them because they have time limits. And so one way for the city to protect the asset of an appraisal is to file for access.
So we probably should pause right there and see if any of you have questions, because that's where we have stalled out historically in the past. So the city has been using right-of-way acquisition specialists that are not located here. And the stall out has oftentimes been within that consultant's office. And we are amenable to creating a process that could be run by my office, and that would be a little more streamlined, but would stick very tightly to those timeframes to protect that appraisal asset. They're only good for 6 months. So if you get an appraisal and then you don't file, which you all hate the term, an eminent domain action within the 6 months to protect that value, then we are in that loop of having to continue negotiations, but continue to get appraisals that are valid for filing for access. So that's part of the reason that we thought it was important Dulcie walk through this exercise with you so you could see when it's brought to your attention that negotiations have stalled out with a property owner and we need to file, that you understand exactly what that is so that we're protecting the value of those appraisals.
Didn't we recently, I don't know how recently, had to go through a second appraisal process on
We've gone through second and third. That is correct.
in the last couple of years?
Yes.
Yeah.
So kind of making an example of that exact scenario that we talked about. This is a recent example that the y-axis, it's just kind of used as a demonstration. There's no real parameter there, just for understanding. But for this specific property, we've gone through 3 appraisals. Each appraisal in $25 costs, not one more zero, $3,500.
You got an extra zero.
I got an extra zero, not quite that much. But that doesn't include any of your staff's time. It doesn't include the consultant that Fonda was referring to that's a right-of-way specialist. It doesn't include any of the surveying, the staking that we often do to demonstrate kind of where that line is in real life, rather than just a picture, right? People like to see where's my fence in relation to that stake. And so this is kind of, we're trying to at least inform you guys of the efforts that go into acquiring property.
Fun, I think an important detail or question council could ask is, when we file, that doesn't necessarily mean that the city is going to take the land. It's more that it kind of forces somebody to come to the table to negotiate.
No, the filing is the eminent domain action. So, however, what you do by filing is to gain access early, is you pay into the court the value of the appraisal. So you say, we did design, we've calculated the actually down to the per square foot amount of land that we need, and this is what the appraisal says it's worth, and you deposit those funds into the court. You are correct, yes. You can continue to negotiate that with the landowner,
Right.
but it allows you to get access so that you can actually start the construction previous to the finalization of the purchase.
Right, asking that to differentiate that between just the city taking land as opposed to
Correct.
continuing a negotiation.
That's correct.
Which
So-
is what the city's done in good faith to date.
Every one of the right-of-way acquisitions that I've been involved in since I've been here have been the result of a negotiated outcome.
Thank you.
We have not been in front of a judge on any one of them.
Exactly, that's what I was getting at. Thank you very much.
Fonda, would you mind explaining to me then I hate using this word, what it feels like to the private property owner when this happens to them?
Well, that would be speculative on my part, but I can.
Just, I understand, but I'm trying to,
Yes.
when you say the E word, my ears burn,
Absolutely, and that's
so.
why I'm saying it out loud to kind of rip
Yeah.
that Band-Aid off, because I don't want you to be surprised. It's the word used in the statute, so we're stuck with it.
Yeah,
Right?
so,
So there's been, if the 2 filings that we've been involved in for access, the landowner knew we were filing, their attorney was on board with it, they understood we were doing it for access purposes, and they fully understood we were gonna proceed through the negotiation process, and those have resulted in a negotiated outcome. So the landowner has been contacted by your city staff ahead of time. They've been notified that this intersection needs improvement and it's gonna be, their land is going to be impacted. They've generally had, 3 to 5 meetings at City Hall with staff to talk about value and design. Because the first thing is for the city to show them, this is exactly where the design shows that we need to carve off a piece of your property, right? Like you're showing them, they're showing them on a map. So it's probably.
They've sometimes had 9 years' knowledge
Yeah,
that was coming.
sometimes, yeah, so a lot of these projects have also been in your capital improvement plan for some time. They've been notified historically that this is coming, this is coming, this is coming. So by the time the actual letter comes that says, we really need to sit down and show you the design, it should not and has not, in my experience since I've been here, been a surprise.
okay.
And they will, I encourage them to hire legal counsel. the other side of this equation for them also has a lot of rights that need protected and information that is very legal in nature that they need to hear, and it's not my place to give that to them. So they can hire legal counsel for the limited purpose of helping them negotiate too and to make sure that their rights are being protected, and we encourage that. And so I can't tell you how they feel, but I can tell you that my experience with this city and this staff has been that the utmost of compassion and care has been given to those property owners through the entire process, and making sure that they're informed, that they have all the information, that they know what design is, that they get our appraisal as soon as we get it. It's not a secret. We disclose it to them so that they know. And then they have a right to go get a different appraisal if they wish, to show that it's worth more. We've had negotiations back and forth where they have obtained a different appraisal that's higher, and then we talk about the value to the city of fighting that appraisal or finding some landing spot in the middle to avoid litigation. So can I per se say how they feel? No, but I can tell you that there's never been a scenario here at the city of Hayden where any landowner, in my opinion, has been treated with disrespect or disregard when it comes to right-of-way acquisition.
And the last part of my question is, if I heard you right, is when this is done, it allows the city to break ground even while negotiations are
Correct.
going on?
The
Okay.
filing to get access and depositing those funds into the court allows the city to proceed with the project while negotiations continue.
Okay, thank you.
Ramsey Road is a good example.
Perfect example.
Yep.
Yes, as far as I know, all of these projects that we're talking about here were started before I became a council member. So I wasn't in the beginnings of these. So I was wondering, is there a way to even change the process a little bit to where we have people on board before we say the project is started, rather than saying, we have gotten this far and you're the roadblock?
We never talk to anybody in that light. I think the staff is always working with the landowners best we can
Right.
in a positive direction. And none of them that, since I've been here, are struggling through understanding the need. They get it. It's an equitability issue. And that takes time. Sometimes it takes, in the Ramsey Road scenario, access to funds being removed. With us having, if that money goes away, then we lose the project, and we've already lost 12 years of time.
So the city, it doesn't make any sense for the city to approach a landowner specifically until design is at least, 60 to 70% complete, because we have to be able to identify the number of square feet we are looking at taking. I'll just call it a
Okay.
taking. It's not a taking, but that we need. And then we have to attribute a value to that with an appraisal. So right out of the gate, it is, hey, our design is 60 to 70% complete. This is what it looks like we're gonna need of your property. We're gonna proceed with an appraisal.
And something
Go ahead.
along with that is the transportation master plan has significant public input and outreach and education. And all of these projects fall within that. And so as involved public citizens, right, as involved as they want to be, they can be aware of all of these type of planning documents and designs and stuff like that. And kind of, I guess, jumping in, kind of, Alan kind of hinted at this earlier, is we are trying to incorporate comments at an early stage of design. A prime example of that is the Hayden Avenue and Hutter Road project. Right now, we are tentatively holding the 29th as an open house. There's still a little bit of things to iron out, but I wanted to let you guys all know that we're tentatively holding the 29th for a potential open house to kind of talk about a roundabout or two roundabouts and a signal and kind of what people want, what people think is the best, and kind of demonstrate that concept.
Every project on this list has had an open house or two. Every project on this list that is completed, design-wise, has been adopted by the council. So there's no way we can get to that point without those property owners already knowing what the situation is. And we've already been on their property, talking to them. We've already been out there, happened to survey, and we don't hide anything from them. It's not conducive to do that.
Well, we get permission just to go on their property to survey.
Survey.
Of course.
Thank you.
All right.
All righty. So the majority of the, I just hit the big one, but the majority of these are continuing the right-of-way acquisition process, and then obtaining the funding necessary to complete the construction.
And just for clarification too, because I think that there might be some confusion when you put up the estimated current day cost. That is the cost, but there are developer contributed funds to some of these intersections as well. So we can't pin that down tonight, so don't just look at the cost as Dulcie's saying, the city has to come up with this much money. You know full well in some of the developments that have come through to you that there are developer contributed funds to some of these intersections as well.
And impact fee.
And impact fee dollars, so.
Anything else?
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Dulcie.
All right, next item is also informational. It is a review of zoning uses and allowed uses table in Hayden City Code Title 11 regarding data centers. Donna, I assume this is your.
Yeah, I didn't prepare this, it has come up a couple of times in council meetings that talked about data centers. And so, they're not, in our city code, we identify the uses that are allowed in various zones. And data centers is not in the table, so it's not a use that's allowed today in any zone.
Okay.
And in the memo that I provided for you, should somebody want to come forward and request a data center, they could do so through the use, new and unlisted use. It would have to come to council, and they'd have to show how it could be in a zone that it would want to be in. And I don't, I haven't seen anybody do that or request that or. So today, the city doesn't have a way to get to a data center.
Okay. Any questions for Donna? All right. Our next item is also informational. Historic Preservation Commission interpretive signage at Stoddard Park.
So the Historic Preservation in Judy Eichelberger's presentation to you from the Historic Commission, she alluded to various projects that they were working on. And this interpretive signage, it dawned on me, I guess, that this process started many, many years ago. And it finally kind of got everybody, and we got a perfect storm going. And so Ryan Drapo, for his Eagle Scout project, has built the structure for the interpretive sign to be on. They were out Sunday in the downpouring rain, putting that structure in. And I just, before we headed this off to the printer to get it printed, this sign is going to be 3 by 5 feet. And it really encapsulates what Stoddard Park with the house and the barn looked like when it was a dairy barn originally on the site where Stoddard is today. That cow that's in this picture is actually going to get traded out for a cow that has got a little girl riding on it. As a picture, we found another picture. It's been really interesting. We have pictures that people have graciously given us license to utilize for historical purposes for Hayden. And when you blow them up, they are not so pristine. So we've had to kind of, work through those and find ones that were really suitable for this particular sign. It also shows, the kind of the grandfather and the son with the horse and the carriage in the left-hand side. The middle one is part of the apple history of our area and how we got Orchard Avenue, is all about apples. And then the one on the far right, that's a picture of the Tucker Box Factory that's out off of Lacey Avenue. And those buildings, where the front end of this building where the Tucker Box Factory was at, two of those buildings still exist today.
Where is that?
It's off of Lacey Avenue, east of Ramsey.
Okay, thank Thank you, Donna, and thank you so much for our Eagle Scout who raised the money to make the sign happen.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right, we're gonna move on to our city administrator report and calendar review.
I don't have a report necessarily for council tonight. You've seen and heard of a lot of the things we're working on coming forward tonight, so if there's any questions respective of the work being done, I'm happy to answer them. I was gonna give an update on law enforcement report, but we do have our liaison here, so I'll defer to him to do so.
All right, and with that, we will move on. Captain Smart is with us tonight and has brought us 3 months worth of monthly activities. Thank you so much, our favorite captain, joining us tonight. Council has a copy of the reports, and I want to thank you for the reports. Does council have any questions? Good Sheriff,
Sure.
Ed, fire away.
Yeah, I'm noticing it looks like a new, if not two, or maybe they just haven't shown up on other ones, suspicious. Can you tell us what that entails? It just says suspicious.
We continue to try to be responsive to all of the input on these reports. And so there's oftentimes the mayor, or in watching other meetings, it comes to light that maybe the citizens or the council is not wanting to hear about some calls for service we go to or others. So we're kind of, the nuance of those top 10 is kind of fluctuating all the time, trying to dial it into what really is the vision that you're looking for. Suspicious calls in nature can be twofold. We do have proactive policings that turn into suspicious calls. They see something on the side of the road. They inform dispatch that they're out with a suspicious vehicle or a suspicious vehicle parked, at Honeysuckle Beach, or a person walking down the road at 3 a.m. dressed all in black with a ski mask on might trigger them to say, maybe I should inquire as to where they are heading. There's also calls from citizens who get called in frequently. I see a suspicious person walking down the road. I don't know what they're doing. Can you come and look? There was a bicycle laying against this tree. Can you come and check it out? There's something suspicious in my neighborhood. So it entails both spectrums of that citizen involved calls as well as stuff that we generate on our own.
Okay, also I see on there something I haven't maybe just been aware of in the past, trespassing. There were 16 in particular in August, and I mean, why the jump in trespassing, I guess, if it's even shown up before? Where does that fit in?
I apologize. I didn't specifically look at that one. I looked at some of the other categories for you tonight. I didn't look down deeper to look at that part there. I'd have to go back and check again. I do know that there's been several calls recently that are easement disputes where citizens are calling in saying that person is on my property and they shouldn't be. The fence line here is here. No, I believe it's 2 feet this direction. Those types of things generate trespassing calls, but they're, at the end of the day, a lot of times they're just civil disputes about property lines, driveway easements, parking complaints, those types of things. Also, we do get some trespassing complaints of the water park, the
Triple play?
Yeah.
Somebody causing trouble.
Triple play and stuff like that where they're, hey, we need them to leave and they aren't.
Right.
Any other questions?
I will just make a couple notes from some stuff that I did look at. August and September did show some increase in aggravated assaults and assaults, and oftentimes those verbiages are awe-shocking to people. And I just do want to let you know and rest assured that those aren't people being confronted by citizens as they walk into the grocery stores or, their gas stations. Many of those were, a result from domestic disputes, and just the way that the statute is written, it does translate into that code. And so I wouldn't want the citizens to be looking at that going, oh my gosh, very fearful of leaving my house at this time. No, they're usually a product of individuals do know each other. It just happens to be that the statute's written that statements were made that do fit this.
Like families fighting with each other, that type of stuff.
Yes, there was a couple family disputes. There was only one that I did find that was citizens disputing. And again, when you look at the totality of it, it was just verbal statements made. against each other, of an Uber driver was parked to pick somebody up and somebody else took, didn't like their parking positioning with what they wanted to park with. And so there was a little verbal confrontation.
I did have one question. I noticed there's a little more than one drug citation per week. Does that tend to be transient folks getting that citation or Hayden citizens?
I don't know that for sure. I don't know. We'd have to take a much deeper dive on that to start investigating
That's okay.
every case number to identify where they are residing or
Yeah,
not.
don't do that.
mean,
I was just
again,
curious if you knew.
I'm gonna say it's probably, first blush, that is heavily, we go to we go to the Walmart, and traditionally, those people who we contact, in terms of thefts, when we do pat searches for safety and stuff, we also find drugs, which then translate into a lot of that, or even just traffic stops that we're making, for educational purposes. Oftentimes, just there's the smell emitted from vehicles, and we end up finding drugs.
Thank you.
I'd just like to point out, I see quite a few citizen assist and welfare checks. And I think that's great you guys do that to give people peace of mind and help our citizens.
Yes, we do what we can to ensure that we're answering any citizen call that comes in for service. Sometimes those are delayed based on the nature of what they are, but we at least are trying to get back by phone at minimum to answer any questions that pop up from the citizens.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming tonight.
Thank you.
All right, does any council member have a report to make? I know Tom had given Lisa a copy of a report recently, and Lisa forwarded it to council, so thank you for that, Tom.
Yeah. Does anybody have, there was a description that came along with that email. I don't know if you all followed through on the thread there, but I can talk and elaborate in any amount of detail if you guys want to know. We got a presentation on the, what do they call it? I can't think of the acronym now, but the planning for
PLT or whatever it is, PTO.
the Pell study, thank you. And they are moving to take 5 alternatives forward in the third phase of study where they're going to go in more of a deep dive. 2 of them are variations of the Hutter bypass. In the documents that Lisa forwarded to you, one of them is titled, I can't even see the whole title name. Let me see if I can. It's called the 23349 Rathrum Prairie Pell Campio Board Additional Materials. That's the additional materials. That was the handout we actually saw. And on page 7 of 24, it highlights the alternatives that are going forward for the third phase of the study. And then further down in the document, it shows details of each one of those. And the one that caught my eye during the review is a Hutter bypass with interchanges rather than traffic lights. It will have basically it'll look like a divided highway along with a frontage road. And when I counted up all the right-of-way, the total possible right-of-way is 232 feet, which I find pretty stinking amazing considering where it's going. So I just wanted you guys to be aware of that.
Thank you, Tom. Okay, if anybody has any more reports, is there any requests for future agenda items? Okay, hearing none. Our next action item is to potentially move into executive session. It's Board of Idaho Code 74261F.
So move.
We have a motion, is there a second?
And
We have a second. May we get a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Schaefer,
Yes.
Councilmember White,
Yes.
Council President Roder,
yes.
Councilmember Dupree.
Okay, we're gonna move into executive session. We'll reconvene at 6:30 and go Mariners.